Hello again. Welcome to Impact. This is Karen Johnson. I'm filling in for Nick Barber for a very short time now, and I'm looking forward to our show, and I hope you are too. If you want to be in touch with Impact, it's impact@proctors.org or Facebook, and we welcome all your ideas and thoughts. So now we'll get on with our show. We now have Philip Morris, who's going to be interviewing Darlene Myers, the director of Northeast Ballet. Darlene has been a long-time leader in the arts, and I'm sure you're really going to enjoy this segment.
Welcome to Impact. My name is Philip Morris, CEO of Proctors, the interviewer for the Arts section. Today, our guest is Darlene Myers, who is the artistic director and founder of Northeast Ballet Studios in Schenectady and now in Saratoga. Big move. Why Saratoga?
Big move. A lot of interest in Saratoga for me coming up there, and for the ballet company expanding up there, and for training up there.
Well, that's all good stuff, right? I mean, in a regional perspective,
It's all good
could be
stuff.
the region's ballet training facility operation.
The center, yes, maybe the center of the capital region.
So, Darlene, how long have you been doing this?
Oh, way too long for me to count, I'm afraid, Philip. Way too long. I grew up here, and as you can tell, I'm not 20. So since my 20s, I've been doing this. After my professional...
Studios opened when?
1985. Yes, and I was still teaching adjunct professor at Union College when I opened my studios.
Oh, how many kids do you think you've done?
Well,
I don't
hundreds,
mean it like that.
thousands, I don't know, a lot, a great deal, many, many, many. I have former students on Broadway now and in professional ballet companies, so quite a few.
So take a guess, how many past students might actually be working?
Past students working in the field?
In the field.
Wow, I don't know. And who have worked in the field?
Yeah.
Probably around 40.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
Probably
actually.
around 40.
So what do you see when you deal with students? What's the thing that turns you on? Why teach?
Why teach? Teaching is one of my passions, always has been. I like taking the talent, that raw talent, and making it into something and making it blossom. That's what I really, really enjoy a great deal as a teacher. And I also enjoy the challenge of a child who comes into the studio and doesn't feel comfortable in their body. And they get to know the technique, and as they get to know the technique of classical ballet, which isn't easy, of course, they feel more comfortable in their body, they gain more confidence, not just in the studio, but that carries out into their life.
Are you trying to train them as dancers? I mean, as professional dancers?
Some. It depends on the individual student, and I'm very particular about that.
What do you mean?
Not everyone is built to be in the profession, whether that be Broadway, whether that be New York City Ballet, whether that be Pina Bausch's company in Europe. It doesn't really matter. It's not just the physicality. You have to have the emotional and the psychological, really, aspects of your personality. You have to have all of those things, not just one.
Can you talk about that some more? I mean, the physical part of dance, 25 years ago, most people thought wasn't demanding. And I think most people get today that dance is unbelievably demanding. I mean, to be a 30-year-old professional dancer is to have aged out almost, right? 35?
Right, right.
But talk about the demands.
It's in both, well, really in all the disciplines, whether it be Broadway, musical, dance, jazz, contemporary, modern work, avant-garde work, theater work, or classical ballet. Really the demands are extreme, because if you think of keeping your body in shape where you don't want to get an injury, you have to do that. Then you have to do whatever your choreographer or your director requires of you on any given day for how many hours they would like. And then you need to do a performance to the highest quality that you're capable of. And this is constant. So it is very much like an athlete, although our pay scale isn't anywhere near the athletes, of course, in the Super Bowl kind of thing. But I mean, the salary rates have grown in the larger companies, but still in comparison to sports, the arts, particularly dance, are nil, really.
Yeah. So for the students who are not going to become performers, the ones that are good in the classroom but aren't going to be performers, what do they get out of this?
Well, I had an interesting conversation with one of my teenage dancers. Sometimes your body really betrays you. I mean, that's the best way I could really say it. When you're growing up, you don't really know what your body type is going to be like, even though you look at your parents and your grandparents and your genealogy. Maybe your body really isn't suited necessarily for classical ballet. So maybe we want to steer you into, you know, the jazz or the Broadway dance or theater work. But if you're brought up in a family that really thinks that their daughter or their son ought to be a ballet dancer, and they get to be a teenager and their body betrays them, that's a very, very humbling piece of knowledge. And what we do for those students is, because they usually have found that they love the art form and they want to study it for the rest of their lives, they just don't want to go into the profession. So it has given them a form of discipline, not just a physical discipline, but also a mental discipline, because they have to organize their time and their schedules. And
I had two daughters who loved their lessons, and they took for a decade each, and neither of them had the body to be dancers, and they almost didn't need to be told, though I think in both cases they were sort of told, but they didn't need that, and they loved it and continued it until their 16th, 17th year, because they just liked it and they felt good about themselves doing it.
yes, that's a very big part of it. It's a confidence builder. I mean, if you have, you know, a situation where you have good experiences, you know, with students and teachers and the family. I mean, it's really a threesome situation.
So talk about the boys. You said girls
The
and
boys,
You do an
yes.
unusual thing to attract boys?
I do an unusual thing. And I can't say that I own it. It wasn't my idea. It was my father's. He was a state trooper and a chief of police, and a very, very large, tall, massive man. And he also liked being on stage. And so he got the bug of being Mother Ginger in one of the Nutcrackers, and he just loved it. And he said to me, you know, if you start your school at some point, you should have scholarships for boys. And I said, now why would I do that? And he said, because you need partnering experience for your girls. And you didn't have that when you were growing up, and that was lacking when you went to the profession for you. And you played catch up. So I want you to do that when you start your school, is to have a scholarship program. So years later, since 1985, we have had a boys' scholarship. They can take as many classes in whatever discipline all of their term when they're at the Myers School. And that has created situations where guys have gone off to college on full scholarship, full dance scholarship, graduated, you know, dance professionally. A gentleman that is known in this area, Richard Gatta, went through that scholarship program. He's now with Billy Elliot on the national tour.
So is it hard to recruit even with no-cost scholarships?
It's not as hard as it was. I think some of the stigma has gone, especially with, you know, the media, with guys dancing, Glee, the various shows.
Also in Schenectady,
Eh,
Schenectady High School has the amazing
Exactly.
reputation of
Yeah,
being able to
exactly.
take dance instead of phys ed,
Exactly.
which I know there are boys in all those dance classes.
That's right. That's right. And I think once the guys get into it, they realize how physical it is, and they really love that. And there was a young man that one of my first students that I taught many, many years ago. He only came to, he would sit and watch his sister take class, and he finally said, I would like to, you know, take class. And I said, okay. Well, he became a soloist in New York City Ballet because his sister was taking class, and his mother said, you sit here while she takes class. He got inspired. He thought the physicality was great. He said, now where can you go and be with all these beautiful women?
Absolutely. Darlene, when you danced,
Yes.
what's your most memorable moment?
My most memorable moment, I have two. Can I say two?
Absolutely.
My first and my last performance with Pennsylvania Ballet. My first performance was at the Brooklyn Academy in Philadelphia, and I loved it, absolutely loved it, and it was a Concerto Barocco performance of Balanchine, because I became a Balanchine dancer for them. And I loved that. It was my debut, if you will, and I was very young. I was only 18. And my last performance of Carmina Burana, which was completely contemporary and modern, and that was John Butler's work. And those were fabulous.
And how far apart were they?
Oh, a couple of years. Yes, couple of years. I was just enchanted with the touring. That was not my thing, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we're glad you're here. We're glad you're in Saratoga and Schenectady in the capital region, doing a great job for lots of people. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil.
Darlene Myers from the Northeast Ballet and Myers Studio. Thank you. This is Philip Morris with Impact.